Hello, guys, and welcome to I guess it's a mixture between a replay analysis and a coaching lesson, but I'm just going to put this in the coaching category. I mean, it's supposed to be a coaching lesson, but I couldn't actually pair up a time here with Dr. Disaster. So he asked me some questions that I will answer really fast in a text file, and I'll read them out loud so you guys know what they are, and then I'll answer them, and then we're going to kind of break down his game afterwards. And, you know, try to help him figure out what he's doing right, what he's doing wrong. And what he asked was, he says this: "Hi, I had a few questions, and in PvP, I had a guy who was adept harassing me. How do you effectively defend that? The first two adept harass. Build pylon and ramp ? Have a probe on standby in PvP to build a pylon. Yes. Like I would say, if you're in a PvP and you build your wall like there and there, you could definitely build a pylon like right there, and you can have a probe standing like right here. You could also have like a stalker, for instance, standing like right here. So you have like a unit that can be in front of your base that can spot the adepts before they're actually like at the ramp. So it gives you like 3 seconds to react, and you can just grab your probe, build a pylon. And also, don't build a pylon, build a shield battery. The reason why you build a shield battery is because it's the same exact cost of a pylon, but it takes an extra 11 seconds to build a battery over a pylon. So what that means is 2 adepts aren't going to break a pylon, just like they're not going to break a shield battery. Like, they're not going to kill it faster than it builds. But on top of that, like, if they even tried, the stalker or something would be killing them as well, so the adepts would die first. But what it really does is if you make a battery, you have a longer time to do other shit and react, and then come back and not be like, oh shit, the pylon's done. That's one good reason why you can do that. So there's a less chance you're going to let it finish. And the second reason why it's good is because what if you build a pylon, he cancels his shade, you cancel the pylon, he shades again, you build a pylon, he cancels his shade, you cancel the pylon, and you have to cancel your pylon more often, which means you're wasting more money because you don't get full refunds in StarCraft 2. So you're losing 25% of a pylon's cost, which means every time you try to block the adepts, you lose 25 minerals, you lose 25 minerals, you lose 25 minerals. But if you make a battery, he shades his adepts, you have a shield battery started, he cancels his adepts, he tries again for a second shade of his adepts, your battery's now like halfway done, he cancels his adepts, and then, you know, and then finally you could cancel it probably after like the second or maybe even the third wave of the adept shade, and then you could cancel the battery. Because again, it's 11 seconds longer build time than a pylon, and a shade is only a 7-second cooldown. So pylon might be able to stop 2 shades, and a shield battery can stop like 4 shades, realistically. So it's a lot more efficient with your money. That's why you would do a battery. And again, it's the same cost and the same size as a pylon. So also behind that, he transitions into proxy void ray battery build. I couldn't scout well since adepts kept trying to shade up my ramp. So what you can do if you're having problems scouting is every single game, if you're like, let's just say you're going to be the guy who opens up with like expansion, if you're doing like a fast expand build, or even if you're the guy who opens up with double gateway, either way, you could actually start the game off where if you go double gateway into an expansion, make a shield battery at your natural early, and you can open up the game with a stalker and an adept, or sorry, a stalker and a sentry. And if your opponent happens to make 2 stalkers and you have stalker sentry, you're fine because you have a battery. If he makes adepts, you can still block the doorway there and have your stalker go shove the adepts away. And then when your sentry gets enough energy to scout, you can make a hallucinated phoenix and you can send it to your opponent's base. That is an easy way to fix that if you're having problems scouting. Definitely just open up your build with stalker sentry and then go into some more stalkers. You don't need to like sit everything on defense and just sit there because he has adepts trying to shade in your base. Also, once you get to a point as well where, let's say you have like 4 stalkers, you could easily have 2 stalkers chase the 2 adepts because the stalker runs faster than an adept, and you could kill them easily. And then if he actually shades, you could have 2 more stalkers ready to catch the shades, and if he actually commits to a shade, your other 2 stalkers defensively could kill the adepts. So you don't have to sit there on defense all game because of that. Also, what is the best counter to Broodlord's vibe? For a Protoss player, if your economy is really good, and you have a lot of gateways, Blink Stalkers could easily overpower Broodlords. But if you, let's say he has also like maybe a lot of lurkers, and you can't really have an option of going for like Archon Stalker or just Mass Stalker, air units could easily kill Broodlords. Like Tempest would be an amazing counter to Broodlords, where you don't even have to go Mass Tempest. Just make like 5 Tempest, and you can one-shot Broodlords with those Tempest, If they all focus fire this, or like if they're shooting a broodlord, they all shoot together, kill a broodlord. And if you have, let's say, he has corruptors, just focus fire broodlords and camp your tempest over the top of your army. That could be like archons and something else, and the corruptors will die faster than your tempest will die. Or you can just straight up, if he's going for a broodlord army, if you have the ability, if it's that late in the game, you could just go sky toss straight up like carriers, and you could go carry your archon, and you could not only kill corruptor but also broodlord right after, because you just grind through his army. I have faced a couple of Zergs where they go lurkers semi-early. I start transitioning to sky toss earlier before maxing when I see that they have Hydra Tech, since the most rational follow-up is lurker. In this scenario, is that the right move? It really depends on your economy. Again, it's not about going, okay, I go sky toss because he goes lurkers. It's really by going like this. Do I have enough money to afford a tech switch? That's really what it is. Because if you don't have enough money to tech switch and you throw down a bunch of buildings to start tech switching and then they hit a timing and kill you, because sorry, I had like a poppy seed on my tongue and it was really annoying. If because I just ate a muffin. If he attacks you like when you don't have enough money to properly switch your tech, you're gonna die. So it really comes down to how much money you have. It doesn't really. It's not about how much army they or what kind of army they have always. Because here's the thing. It's not like saying the only counter to lurkers is sky toss. Disruptors can counter lurkers. A good assortment of immortal spread with a concave can counter lurkers, especially if it's immortal archon. Phoenix can counter lurkers. You don't even need to go mass sky toss for that. You could literally lift up the lurkers with the gravity beam and then shove forward into the Zerg with your ground army. There's a lot of things that can counter lurkers, other than just saying it has to be sky toss. So yeah, that's what I mean by when you say, is this the right move? There's a lot more to it than that. I maxed out before with the ground army, and then they would just kill by 2 or 3 overseers with hydras, then kill the rest of the army with lurkers. Oh, sorry, you're saying, okay, you're saying you max on a ground army, and you have he would just kill your observers, is what you're saying. He would kill your observers with your hydras, or with his hydras, and then you have no detection for the lurkers, and then he kills you with lurkers. Okay, an easy way to fix that is don't A move your army into his army always. Maybe what you could do instead is when the fight is about to start, maybe fly your observer close to where the fight is and oversight your observer, which expands the detection radius, and you'll see all the lurkers before you're actually committed over the hydras. Or you could green box your lurkers and pull them back like multiple times if you have the patience to do that. Or how about you just take maybe one observer. Let's say you have 3 observers, take 1 observer out of the control group, or if you have 2 observers, take 1 observer out of your control group and leave 1 in your control group, so you can have 1 observer lead, and the one that is not control grouped, have it automatically follow an archon, or not an archon, sorry, an immortal, or like something in the back, like if you have a colossus or whatever, probably an immortal. I imagine you're gonna have immortals there because colossus aren't great against lurkers. So just tell one of your observers that is unselected out of the hotkey, go, okay, unselected observer, right click my immortal and move command it, and then it will just constantly follow the immortal everywhere it goes. And now it'll always be detection that comes up the rear of your army. And an observer will reveal the lurkers before the immortal walks over them. Like the range of that observer's detection would be long enough for the immortal to shoot max range on that lurker as soon as it's revealed. It'll get revealed like just before the immortal would be in range of it to shoot it. And yeah, hopefully that makes sense for those. Yeah, and now let's look at so this game, let's look at what's happening in your game here. Again, those are questions he had in general, guys. They might not even have anything to do with this game, possibly. They were just questions he wanted to know. Again, this is a coaching lesson, and he can't be here, unfortunately, so he wanted me to answer those. I know people in chat are like, just fucking play it already, God. Relax. Patience, guys. Stop having so much ADD. Okay, your pylon is fine. I don't mind your pylon placement. Your pylon is good. It's all good. Okay, your gateway, I don't know how much I like your gateway. It's okay. As long as you fill in the wall properly. Your wall looks like it's already like a bit far back. It's okay. So far it's okay. We'll see how you build the core and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Shadow Vagrant, for the sub, dude.
You give us awesome and instructive content. So here's my sub. Thanks for being a positive influence on the SC2 community. Much love.
Oh. Thank you very much, dude. I'm glad you feel that way. You make me happy. Yeah, I love hearing positive feedback, man. It's a nice contrast to people saying, "Hit play already." Jesus, this is boring. Thank you, dude. I appreciate it. Okay, so this is aggression already. No natural. There's a gap. Here's the crazy thing, right? Here's the crazy thing. This is the thing I would be worried about. Watch this. So, look at what you see here. You see a spawning pool. You see a gas. You see 3 eggs being made right now. There's a very good chance that those 3 eggs are Zerglings. It would only make sense, because who the hell is going to go for like a 13 gas 12 pool and then make drones at 3 at once? On top of that, it's really weird. Also, he was really desperate to kill your probe. It's like he didn't want you to know what he was doing, but you know what he's doing because he doesn't have a fucking natural. You should know. So anyone who's like, what does that mean, Vibe? What are we talking about? If a Zerg player doesn't have a natural, by the time you gateway scout their base, which is what this was, that means they went pool before hatchery or they proxy hatched somewhere. That's what that means. And either, like, the only way a proxy hatch is not aggressive is if it's like a hidden base and it's going to be economical. But then again, that's also weird because for economy, because drones would have to rotate all the way across the map to get to the hidden base. So it's less economical. It would only work if like you overreact in meta and yourself and be like, oh, freak out and panic and make like 14 cannons and you're like, I don't want to die. But in general, if they don't have a natural, it means they went pool first, and pool first means you're gonna get attacked by some fucking lings. So seeing that there's nothing there is already like a late hatchery. And now, here's a nice thing to note too. This is again Platinum League, and I don't think you have to do this in Platinum League. Because what's going to happen is you leave his base right as you're going to give yourself the ability to know if he's going to all-in you with gas beyond speed or not. But here's an important thing to know, okay? If you just click the gas one time, this is optional, okay? For Platinum players, this is optional. I'm not saying this is mandatory. Automatically, you should think, okay, this is speedlings. This is probably going to be speedlings. Something with speedlings. That's what you should feel like already. Because he's already got a pool done. There was no Roach Warren started or Baneling Nest. And he's mining gas. This is a very speedling looking opener. But check out your probe. Watch your probe. So your probe is, well, it's taking laps. I don't like that it's taking laps. This is the shit I actually hate when people do this. I don't like this at all. We'll talk about it in a second. But let's see what you see when you come back again for a second pass. You saw Lings sitting there for a second, and now what do you see? You see, so this is what's important. This is very, 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 very important. What is the, like, think about it for a second. What do you think I'm talking about when I say this is very important? I'm talking about the fact that he's not continuing to mine gas. So, what you can do now to confirm that this is not going to be a full-fledged all-in, there's 2 signs. Number 1, if he mines more than 100 gas, there's probably going to be a Roach Warren or a Bane Nest. Okay, so if he keeps mining gas, there's probably going to be a Roach Warren or a Bane Nest. Now the person, so someone in chat also just said, also Vibe, you didn't mention that the pool is wiggling. And the pool is wiggling. That doesn't matter, and here's why. You can't do anything by itself. Realistically, going for a gas and a pool first. Also, shit, I'm using the wrong microphone. Holy, am I? No, just kidding. No, I'm not. This fuck double microphone just blew my mind. I gotta put my little cuppy thingy on the other one, pop filter, because I kept touching it with my mouth. Sorry, I just got distracted there. The streamer problems. So the reason why I say looking at the pool, going, why is that not a big deal? Because automatically you should already know that he's gonna go speedlings if he stops mining gas. That should just be a by default. So there's a chance he might go something with speedlings, or he might just go something else besides speedlings if he keeps mining gas beyond 100. But if a Zerg player ever mines 100 gas and then stops altogether, it means they're going speedlings. Because what are the only other 2 options a Zerg can realistically do?
Thanks for B2GM, homie. Your vids for me to silver 2 and climbing.
Yo, Zasses, thank you very much for the bits, dude. Much love. I'm glad you like it. Thank you, thank you. What are the realistic only other options Zerg can do if they don't keep mining gas? And they only have 100 in the bank. They can make a layer. Or they can make a fucking Evo chamber. Or they can... Okay, there's 3. They can make a layer. They can do Overlord speed. Or they can do an Evo chamber upgrade. And none of those make sense. The one that makes the most sense there would be Overlord speed. But even that would be terrible. And I'll tell you why. But layer and a melee upgrade... Or like a missile weapon upgrade would make no sense. And why? Because you need more gas to get fucking speed for lings. Or you need more gas to get roaches if you're going to go for a missile weapon upgrade. Or I guess you could also go burrow too. Which is there's also now a hatchery tech upgrade. It's not a layer tech upgrade. But burrow is, again, that does nothing. Like burrow does all these things. Like what are you going to do with fucking just straight up burrowed drones and slow lings? What is that going to do? Are you going to burrow? Are you going to invest into burrowing a ling at his 3rd base? Right? Like, it doesn't make any sense if that would actually be a thing. We don't have to explain every single one because I don't want to waste like 20 minutes talking about why he's not gonna... Why it has to be speed. Just think about it. If you only mine 100 gas, again, we'll just talk about only the one that could somewhat make sense. Overlord speed might make a little bit of sense because you could be like, I'll get a scout off really early to see what you're doing. But here's why it doesn't make sense. If you go Overlord speed... and then you stop mining gas, and you don't have speedlings, how the fuck can you defend anything you see anyways? If your opponent goes for a greedy 3rd base, what can you do to react to that? Send slowlings across the map to try to kill it? No, it's going to be horrible. If you scout an all-in, what are you going to do? Make slowlings to defend it? No, that's going to be horrible. So, having no way to follow up what you scout means why the hell are you scouting so, like, so much into the gas? Like, why are you investing so much of your economy into the gas to make a scout? It's your build has like no economy anymore. So of course this is going to be for lings. It makes no fucking sense for anything else, and it has to be for speedlings. Because again, if it continued to mine gas, then it could be something else. But if it stops mining gas, it 100% needs to be speedlings, because every other option needs more gas for it to make any type of sense at all for what you're going to use it for. So at least if it's just speed, just speedlings are kind of self-sufficient to do their own thing. So it's kind of like, that's why I'm saying it's kind of a standard that the pool should be upgrading now. It's kind of a default. Like you should automatically know that that's going to happen. And yes, you can confirm it by looking at the pool, wiggling, but you should just expect that to happen. But the thing I don't like about your scouting, okay, we'll talk about that for a second. So what this is showing me, Dr. Disaster, is that when you do this right here, how much, like, let's actually watch your camera for a second. I'm going to watch your camera when you do this. I'm going to watch how long you look at your probe for. Okay, you're looking at your probe at 113. Ever since 113, you're looking at your probe. Now, how long does this take to fucking mess around with your probe here? Okay, around 126. So from 113 to 126, you're fucking around with that probe, and you're doing things like shift, 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 rally commands. And all this tells me is that, this is what it tells me. It tells me that you're not confident in your scouting, so that it, because you're not sure what to look for. You're not sure what to look for, so you're like, well, I guess I'll just shift command it everywhere, right? Also, Rob, I'm like 62, by the way. You're not sure what to look for, so you're just like moving your guy around everywhere, and you're like, well, maybe I'll see something eventually. Like you're waiting till you see something rather than what you're expecting to see. So I would say something to look at would be learning how to read a Zerg better rather than doing this, because what you just did during this, we'll go back to 113. Let's watch your production and let's see if your build gets fucked up during that. So 113 is when you did it. 113 is when you looked over there. Now, what do you do from 113? What are you doing now?
Probes under attack.
So your last probe finished at like 122? Look at that money right now. It's fucking fat, right? That's a bad habit. What you're doing right now is a bad habit. This is taking priority over your macroing of your build. Your Nexus is delayed and your probes are delayed. And what's going to be first? You still haven't done it. Okay, you went core first. So, core first. Not going to lie. It's okay. I'm not going to be like, no, dude. You should definitely not have gone core first. But you could have made a core first such a long time ago. You could have made a core first at like 117. And how do I know that? Because your probe entered his base at like 113. Like, it was already like entering his base at like 113. And you could have easily noticed, if there's no expansion, that is more information than this. Because this tells you, if a Zerg has not taken a expansion, if I gateway scout, okay, so also just know, if you pylon scout or if you gateway scout, it changes your scout timing, right? It's a little earlier or a little bit later. But if you gateway scout, and by the time your probe gets to his natural off of a gateway scout, which means you're going to be getting to his natural by around 110. If he still has not fucking started a hatchery by then, this dude is not going hatchery first at the natural. There should very, very, very clearly be a hatchery down by then. And you're like, Vibe, how do you know that? What do you mean? You made a pylon. You made a gateway. You also ran across the entire map after that. And if this dude still can't afford a 300 mineral hatchery by then, what the fuck is he doing? Is he like AFK? No, he's obviously not going hatchery first. There should clearly be a hatchery down way, way, way faster than 110 in this game. So that spotting that, going no hatchery, you could then go, okay, we're going core first. You don't need to do this like the whole time to figure that out. Then that's why. Like, this tells you that's not hatchery first. Then, talking about your scout for a second, but it could also be a proxy hatch. But here's the thing. Bend over, stir. You keep questioning my authority right now. Good. You could be like my student today. Here's the thing, though. Even if you go core first, what are you going to do after core first? You could still go right back into a Nexus. It's not like you're going to go all in. It just means you're a little bit safer and a little bit less economical. But you know what happens? If he doesn't go hatchery, he's also less economical. If the fucking hatchery's proxied like way the hell down here or way over here, and drones have to go like this, let's go mine that hatchery, guys. And we're there. Like, that's not the same as a fast expand at the natural. It's not the same as this. Let's like mine minerals. Done. So it's there's there you think, okay. So this is what he's saying. This is conspiracy theory logic here again. Vibe. But there could be a proxy hatch at your third base already, and he could be spine crawler pushing you. All right, tough guy. This is where I'm gonna say this. Whenever you make accusations like that, you gotta be careful, because you gotta let me finish. You gotta let me finish. You gotta let me finish, or did fucking Beyonce make the best record of all time? I'm just talking about the natural. We can still go into his main base. Right? We're not just gonna scout the natural and go home. This is not Silver League Beta GM. This is Platinum League. We're gonna do more scouting than that. Yeah, we can tell it's not hatchery first. And again, we knew that it could potentially be proxy hatch. We said that earlier. It could be proxy hatch, or it could be pool first. But the second we get into his base and see a gas and a pool, we can guarantee it's not a fucking proxy hatch. So it's ruled out once we get into the main. And you don't need to go like this with your scout over and over and over in the main base to figure that out, right? So again, we're talking about maximizing time. So look at this. Just look for a second. Watch. We're scouting across to the Zerg's base, right? We're like, right now, right there, boom. There is no lip of a hatchery sticking outside of the circle here. What does this mean? This dude did not expand to this base. And if he did not expand to this base, you're not even at 400 minerals yet, which is totally fine. You're more than welcome to now take this probe off of your gas, right click down here, and then build your core as soon as the gateway is done, which is in the next 15, 16 seconds. Very soon. You could totally do that if it's not pool first. Or sorry, if it's not hatchery first and instead is pool first. And now all this scout needs to do, this is all the scout needs to do. Go like this. Down once, and you see this. 3 eggs all being made at the same time. This right here already insinuates pool first. This right here insinuates that he just made his lings, because if you go pool first, you're going to be making your lings. Literally, this is pretty standard. Somewhere in the range between 1 minute and 15 seconds to like 1 minute and 25 seconds. Like, this is pretty normal. They're going to be, lings are going to be popping before 1:30 usually. Like right around 1:30 or like just before 1:30. Like that's when lings are going to pop out of the eggs, usually. Okay? Like around this timer. So this is all looking pretty, this is like even before you saw the pool, seeing 3 eggs all being made at once confirms it's pool first, because nobody who skips a hatchery like that is going to make 3 drones at once like this. And again, I'm not even saying we'll stop scouting his base then. We don't need to scout anymore. You can still scout the rest of his base. It's just you should be the way your brain should trigger should be no hatchery, pool first. The second you see that, like from right here, you go, oh, 3 eggs, pool. And then you confirm, yep, pool. You should just know. No. It's like there's signs that point to it's a pool. There's another sign that points to it's a pool. There's another sign that points to it's a pool. And the final one is you see the pool and now you go, yep, all those signs were correct, because you know how to read the signs in a player and what they're doing. So now we confirm it's a pool, and all we need to do right now, all we need to do is literally move our probe, like I guess move away from the drones because he's trying to kill you right now, which is fine. But like the second he turns around, you honestly don't even control your probe anymore. Leave your probe like right there. Leave your probe like right there. Just for a second. And why would I say to do that? Because he is about to be at 100 gas mined. You can also click this gas and see that, because it starts at 2250 and you're at 2158. So in 2 more trips, his gas is going to be, saturated. It's going to be mining over 100 at that point. And if he sticks to it, it means prepare for more aggression. And if he doesn't stick to it, it means it's just going to be lings. So, like, watch how the probe leaves and then look at the vision. Zerg pulls off like right away, right after. And now we're fucking going around his base for no reason to come figure this out again later. It doesn't matter. We could have seen this and went, yeah, he pulled off. And that would have been fine. And another thing too, if you would have saw him pull off, you could have left his base and you could have, or either this. There's 2 ways to read it, okay? Again, guys, you know what we're talking about? We're talking about signs. So one way you could have read this build really well would have been leave a probe here. After you saw the gas and went, is he going to take it off at 100? And if he mines like 20 gas over, you can just leave and be like, looks like he's not taking it off. Otherwise, lings will spawn and kill your probe. Another way you can do it is if you, let's just say hypothetically, you see the gas. Here's another way you can do it. Let's say you see the gas and you're not yet at 100. You're at like maybe 80, 70. And then you leave the base and you're like, okay, well, he's got gas. So I automatically know he's mining gas. And you go like this. Probe, leave the base and go like right here. Just go over here or something. And then you wait until like 2 minutes. You wait a little bit longer. Just give it a little bit of time. Wait like 30 seconds after you get here. Like 20 seconds after you get here. And then what do? You come back here and you scout this one more time. And if the Zerg has not yet taken a hatchery by 2 minutes in the game, there's a very good chance he's going to all-in the shit out of you with a lot of gas. Because you can't fucking expand and go 1312 constant gas mining. If you're going to constantly mine gas off of 1312 and you expand, you're going to have some super horribly inefficient larvae. So watch this. I already know the Zerg's going to take a natural based off the fact that he didn't take a fucking, his gas stopped. Lings are going to leave his base. He's going to attack you with those. And he's going to quickly expand afterwards. Show me an expansion, Mr. Zerg boy. Pull one of those drones off. Let's see it. So he prioritized the queen first. Now a drone's going to pull off and go expand. And again, what happened? Here's the drone to expand. And what happens as well? What's the difference? There's another difference here. So if you scouted this by like 2 minutes and we're like, okay, this guy doesn't have an expansion. Why? Fucking made an inject. He made a queen and he injected his hatchery. And now look at his larva. Remember what we just talked about? Like, so he didn't, he is making a queen first, and now he also wants to expand. You can't do everything at once, just so you guys know. There are options that you have to go with in this game. And he's choosing to go for an expansion after he made a queen and after he injected his larva. So let's watch his larva as he tries to expand. Watch his larva. So he's expanding. And now we've confirmed there's an expansion. And now look at that larva. He just spent 3, and now he's got another 3. And he's like, it's getting hard for him to spend it. And what is he making it on? He's making it on drones, so that's fine. But again, I personally, like, it's not the hugest of deals where it's like, oh, it's a queen before a hatchery or a hatchery before a queen. It's not like it's going to make the biggest world of difference ever. But again, the general idea is there is an expansion follow-up. And the reason why this hatchery was made at 2:19 instead of around 2 minutes is because he made a queen first instead of hatchery first and then a queen second. But again, it's, if your probe was around the area and you just, let's say you scouted at 2 minutes and you left. And then you come back again at like 2:20 or 2:30 and you scout for it again and go, okay, let's just do one final confirmation. Well, now at like 2:30, there would be a guarantee if there still is no base there. Why the fuck would there not be a base there? The only reason why that would ever make sense is because this dude's clearly not expanding and he's still mining gas. So this, again, this all wraps up into the fact that I said you could have left his base before you saw the end of his gas, or you could have left his base after you saw him take off gas, just to see what the build even looks like. And what is that overall? What does that mean? Gas stops mining means it's just speedlings. Gas continues to mine means it could be a Nidus with queenling. Means it could be a Nidus with fucking like roaches and no speed at all. Means it could be speed baneling. It means it could be speed roach without a layer. It means it could be a baneling bust. Ling bane. It could be all of these different types of aggressive moves. And the best way you can defend all of them is to legit make a battery and call it, like, just make a wall, make a battery, and then play your build as normal. Like, you still have your expansion, you take like a robo or whatever the fuck you want to do. But again, the scout, I feel like, so the scout, the reason why I'm being so hard on the scout is because I really hate when people do this around the base, because again, there was 13 seconds invested on doing that, and 13 seconds, nothing happened at the base. There was literally, like, you threw down the core at almost 700 minerals. It was like 680 or something, or 670. It was a very, very, very late, you know, everything. And then you still have 645, and you still haven't started a Nexus yet. I feel like that scout threw everything off. Like, that scout set the pace for this game to be bad. So it's just about knowing how to read a Zerg. What is standard and what is not standard. And proper reaction for a standard Zerg is play standard. I imagine you know how to do it. I think you can handle standard Zerg because we've talked before. And also, being a GM, we handle standard Zergs all the time. And now let's do one final backup about your scout and tell you like how I would react, or how I would want you to react, okay? So you scout into his base and you go, cool, 113. There is no natural. You just take a quick peek. That's it. Just one quick peek. And then now, like, maybe hotkey, or you might even have it hotkeyed already. This might be probe 1 in group 1. You can just grab a probe now in your main base and go, oh, cool. We're going to need to set up a quick defense because this guy's going pull first. And you grab a probe and you come down and get ready to build your core while you're going into his main base. So you go to your base, grab this probe, send it down here. Keep making probes as well. Like, start another probe while you do that. Then, by the time you're done with that, this probe will not be here anymore. It'll be like right there after you're finished with that task. And now this probe has like 10 seconds before you need to do anything else by making the core or making another probe again or whatever. And you go, okay, well, I need to now scout into the base. And what do? You scout gas, and the pool. And that's it. That's all you got to do. Just scout the investment. And it only would be like running down, and then you could literally leave his base. It could take you all of about literally 8 seconds to do that. To go from here, like right there on the ramp, to there, leave his base, like over here. It could take, like, just to do that process of clicking there, and then leaving here. And I'm not even saying shift click it. I'm saying you could literally look at it. You could have your camera here for 8 seconds because you just did a macro cycle right before it. and you moved your probe down to set up your buildings right before it. Because you reacted by going, I know I need defense now. And you could scout this, and as soon as you scout this gas and this pool, you could have your probe right here, and just go right-click right over here, and go right back to macroing your base. Which would be, you know, like maybe like right around the time when your gateway's done. Again, this has been now 17 seconds since our probe was like right there. 17 seconds since our probe was right there. So we've had plenty of time to go pop, pop, right click. And now what we'd want to do is we'd want to build a core. We could also build a second gateway. We could also build a zealot. We could also keep making probes. We could also then build a second pylon, and we could build a nexus afterwards. So core gate, second pylon, probes keep being made, and then a nexus. And the reason why we don't cut probes now is because there's no reason to cut probes at nexus then core, because we're not going nexus then core anymore. We're going core first, and if we're going, and also we're going for a zealot. And if we're going to go core first and a zealot, we don't have enough money. Unless we want a supply block for a while, we probably need to make a second pylon if we want to keep making probes. And I mean, I will say this: you could make the nexus if you're super confident that you can micro well and not die. But if you're not super confident, I recommend you make a second pylon before the nexus, which is the safer option. But again, nothing happens. The probe just chills. So how long was the gateway done for? Gateway's done at 1:29. How long before the core gets made? That wasn't as bad. Core gets made at 1:33, so only 4 seconds delayed on the core. It wasn't that bad. And you chrono boost out a zealot. But the one thing I don't like though is that once you commit to this, your probe production has been stopped for a long time. You haven't made any probes for a while now. Like this nexus has been idle for like the last 40 seconds or 30 seconds. Keep making probes if you have to react like this. There's no reason not to keep making probes. And you started one, you just canceled one. I think right there. You have one started and then you cancel it. You gotta keep making probes in this. And if you're not gonna make the nexus right away, keep making probes. Again, you only want to cut probes if you're gonna go nexus first. I would say. And then now your wall is set up. You chrono boosted out the first zealot. You have a second zealot on the way, and your probe is sitting here with a bunch of minerals in pocket. And I think it's because you were running away from the lings for a little bit with your probe, and then your probe died. Also, your positioning on your fucking zealot is off. That doesn't block anything. Lings could literally fully surround that zealot, other than the corner where the gateway is. Your zealot is out of the doorway. Make sure. One of the ways you can block your doorway, if you're like having a hard time, if you're like, Vibe, I can't fucking click it because I always click the building. Jesus. I mean, you can click in between the gap if you do it properly on the right spot, like right there. But if you actually fuck it up, one of the ways you can do it is you could tell your zealot who is currently outside your wall to walk inside your wall and then time it to where it's now in between the doorway to hold position. Because this zealot is not in a good spot and he's the one to hold that is not a good spot. He's so fucking far out in the open. This guy can get hit by like 7 Zerglings. You might be doing this for the purpose of saying, well, Vibe, I do it so that he can also be my doorway with my second zealot. I don't like it. Because, like, you're giving yourself more surface area for lings to kill you. You're... bend over, tester. I'm going to ban you for 10 minutes. You're making me mad. I can't. Never mind. You're lucky. I can't ban you for 10 minutes. There are no options for that. Okay, so what I would say you should be doing instead is you could have one zealot, like you could even have one zealot like right here in the back as like a backup. And then your other zealot can be in the doorway, and you can like attack the lings and back up to the... Like, you could even do it with both zealots. Again, this requires you to have decent micro. It requires you to have decent micro, okay? Like, this is why it's kind of scary to do this kind of shit. But all you want to do, ideally, is you want to attack the lings, and you want to like back up, attack the lings, back up, attack the lings, back up. You don't want to ever let the Lings start running towards your doorway before you run back to your doorway. Because if you let that happen and he surrounds you, or he gets into your base, that becomes a major problem. Also, your wall is fine. I actually like your wall. I take back what I said about it. You actually tucked it in the corners, which means it has less surface area. So I actually like your wall. Your wall is groovy. But now right there, like that was a situation where your Zealot just ran into the Lings and got hit. You got greedy, I would say. Never fucking smack the Lings more than once. So when he gets to your base, you smack the Lings once and you run away. Always. You never fucking smack twice. So watch how your Zealot does it. Like you run away right here. That was correct. You run back. You're kind of bouncing back and forth. You run back. You go forward. You go back. You go forward again right here. You killed that Ling. You should immediately back up right now for a second. And if he reacts, well, you're already backing up. And if he doesn't react, start walking towards him. And get yourself close enough to smack once and run away. So you stand there after you kill the Ling. And then you smack again. And you still stand there. And you haven't started running again. And then now he's fully surrounding you. And now it doesn't matter. And your Zealot is dead. And right now, Lings could literally run your base. Okay, now you have a Stalker, and now you're fine. What were you making a second ago? Another battery? Yeah, only make one battery. You only need one battery. And again, how do I know you only need one battery? If you had a probe over here, somewhere, and you scouted and saw there was... So there's two signs. Now we're going to talk even more about movement and tendencies. There's two signs of a Zerg without scouting their gas that tell you this Zerg is not going to go for gas anymore after Speedlings. Or they're not going gas at all, okay? Number one. So this guy's actually kind of fucking it up as well, the way he's doing it. You don't ever want to lose your Lings if you go for gas. You really want to maximize as many Lings as you can, as long as you can, so that you can actually have a big power spike when speed's done to actually try to run the Protoss over. That's the idea. So if this guy was going to go for Speedlings, it would make more sense that he's not going to go fucking mass drones. This guy is playing this build like he was going to go for a 12-pool gasless. This fucking makes no sense to get speed here for this guy. This is why Platinum does shit inefficient all the time, guys. This fucking build literally makes no sense. A Zerg player who's going to throw their Lings away on your wall before speed is done is generally a Zerg player who is telling you right now, I'm expanding, I'm expanding, I'm expanding. I'm really trying to get as much damage done on you as I can, but I'm doing it in a rush because I am trying to take the fight right now. I'm not being conservative at all because I'm not massing units. I'm just trying to make these units do as much damage as they possibly can, and if you ever miss micro, I'll fuck you up for it. So this right here is Zerg players who throw their Lings away on your wall is a sign that he's expanding. Because why? He's making drones behind it. He doesn't give a shit if these Lings die or not that much because he's not going to flood you after this. So if he's not going to flood you, again, why the fuck would he go for speed? It makes no sense. It just slows down his expansion for drones. That's why I'm saying it doesn't make any sense. So that's a sign, right? This is a sign. So that sign right there saying he's throwing Lings at my wall and I've already killed like 4 Lings at this point. You've killed 4 Lings at this point. There is no reason to make a second battery. This is now all the reason to make a Nexus. Because he's throwing his Lings away. If he was sitting back here or running around, let's say he poked you and ran away and waited in the fog of war, I'd be like, yeah, maybe make a second battery. Maybe get that Nexus up for a shield battery overcharge quickly. Maybe even make a sentry to prepare a fucking force field. This dude is going to potentially all-in you with some shit. Especially also if your probe was over here and he wasn't attacking you and you also saw no expansion, I'd be like, yeah, no, big chance you're going to get attacked by something major. Those are signs of massive aggression.
Yeah.
This is a sign of an economy focus, an economic follow-up to what he's done. Yo, Linux, thank you very much for the Prime. I'm glad that you canceled it, but I'm disappointed that you built it in the first place. And again, this Zealot is irritating me. It's making me mad. Dr. Disaster, move that fucking thing. Also, I like how you actually went double pylon and battery before the Nexus because of the chance. You didn't give yourself full information. You actually didn't need to go this crazy on defense if you would have seen he took off gas or that he expanded. But, I mean, with the information you gave yourself, I'm not upset about how you built your wall, like the order of what you did. The only thing I would say you could do better about your wall now is space a gap between your pylon and between your battery. Like, your battery should be, like, right there. And your other pylon should be, like, either right there or, like, right there. And the reason why, like, just don't have them touching. And the reason why is because you don't know if this guy is expanding or not. You have no fucking idea if he's going Ravagers or not. And if this dude were to show up in the next, like, 50 seconds or so, or 40 seconds with, like, 5 Ravagers, because he never stopped mining gas, and then he just nukes the center of both your pylons, you will automatically die. You would just die. Because you'll depower your entire wall. And then you can't warp into anything. And if he floods lings behind that, you would literally just lose the game. So at least if you gap your pylons by 1 grid spot between each other, he has to waste twice the amount of bios to unpower all your defense here. Which increases your chances to not die drastically. Okay. Let's look at your build again. I want to look at your build when it got fucked up. Like, look at this Nexus, for instance. This Nexus has so much downtime. And look, not only this, it's not even just like, well, vibe, bro, I was getting all in. Look at the money. I'll say a word, like, we're going to watch it on ×2. And I'm going to say one word. I'll be like, now, if there's ever a point in time when you couldn't afford a probe when you're not building a probe. So again, like right now, ever since like 122, you stop building probes. 122, you stop building probes, and then you can still afford to make a probe right now. And again, you've already confirmed he's pool firsting you. So if you're going to go double pylon because you're going to make a zealot, you might as well keep making probes then. And you can still make a probe. You can still afford it. Not once have you not been able to afford a probe yet. Still afford one. Still afford it. There you go. You started, but you're going to cancel this one. Still can afford a probe. You can still afford it. And that was your... I think this probe actually finishes right here. So your first probe after 122 was made at 201. So you waited fucking... What is that? Like 39 seconds or something? You waited 39 seconds to make a probe. And 39 seconds is the equivalent of 3 more probes plus 3 more seconds. With no chrono boost. If you actually had a... chrono boost, you probably could have made 4.5 probes. And again, you're not going to supply block. And why are you not going to supply block? Because you're making the second pylon super early now. Because you're making zealots to not die. And now you're not making probes again. You made 1 probe there. You made 1 probe at 201. So from 201 to 213, because it's 13-second build time, you made 1 probe. And then you stopped again after that. So that was 39 seconds, and now since 213, you haven't made a probe again for the last 19 seconds and counting. You have 700 minerals at one point right there a second ago. You have not once, you're at 800 almost. And you started making probes again finally at 245. So finally at 245, you started making probes again. So right there, that was a 32 second plus a 39 second window of time where you didn't make probes. So overall, that's 1 minute and 11 seconds that you didn't make probes. That's a lot of probes. That's like, that is right there is that's like 6 probes roughly without chrono boost, and it could be like 8 probes with chrono boost. And what's the worker count right now? You're behind Zerg by 1, and he fucking early linged you. He has to sacrifice drones to make lings. You do not have to sacrifice probes to make gateway units. And you're not even fully pumping gateway units either. So you've had the money to do it the entire time. I feel like it's just you weren't sure if you should make probes there, and you definitely should. So now you know if you didn't know before. And then did you stop making probes again for a little bit? Right here. Okay, so at 3:0, or rather 3:10, your probe finishes. And how long do you wait to make another probe? 3:10 until... Okay, that wasn't that bad. It was 3:10 until 3:13. It was still a couple seconds, but not the worst. That one's at least a lot better than 39 seconds or something. And now what are you doing with your probes? You're making probes and you're starting to saturate your natural. Just imagine if when you started saturating this natural, you could saturate it with like 13 probes on the mineral line or 14 probes on the mineral line right away. You'd be so much better off. And you have so much money in the bank. You could have easily made those probes and you'd be making more money with those probes. Also, be very careful. Again, guys, make sure. I already know what happened here. I've seen this happen before with people. Make sure when you rally. Remember, I know what you're doing is you're rallying your gas with you're rallying your nexus to your gas. But make sure when you rally your nexus to a gas like this, your probes, even if you build an assimilator, your probes will stand there the entire time. Whenever you build an assimilator, you have to then re-rally the nexus onto the assimilator. Because what happens is right now you're telling your probe, go to the gas. That's all you're telling it to do. It's not telling it to go to the assimilator. If you build an assimilator on that and then you don't re-rally the nexus, you're still telling the probe, go walk to that gas under the assimilator. Because what really happens when you rally your nexus onto the assimilator is you're telling the probe then, mine gas out of the assimilator. So that's why your probes are standing here. You have to re-rally the nexus onto the orb that's like building as an assimilator on the nexus. You could do it at 1 second into build time of the assimilator. And then you're good to go. You're fine. And then it will then tell the probes to wait there on the assimilator. And then they'll mine as soon as it's done. Because they're being told to go to the assimilator and not to the gas. The assimilator is the tool to go to the gas. So that's why your probes are fucked here. They're just chilling. There you go, you fixed it. That was a lot of time again though. It was like a full minute of those guys just sitting there, which is a lot less gas again. And what are you scouting? You're scouting a Zerg's third base. Again, this is a moment where it comes down again, right? What do we want to see? What do you want to see? Like what? Think about it like this, okay? As a Zerg player, or as you go scout the Zerg player, what the fuck makes sense here? What do we care about looking at this point in time? I'm gonna watch your Phoenix usage here for a second. I'm gonna see what you look at really quickly.
I am engaging the enemy.
Okay. Your scout was mostly okay. It was mostly okay. I think you could have looked, you kind of missed this a little bit. But it was mostly okay. Here's what I would say you should look at as a Protoss player here. It definitely wasn't as bad as your first scout. I'll give you that. So when your scout goes through someone's base, you can take quick glances. Again, the goal is knowing what to look for, right? So here's a quick glance. Like, let's just say we're building, and my Phoenix has now approached the Zerg's base. I really want to now quickly glance at this base, and I want to see the mineral line. So the fact that you're shift moving like this around his base, I mean, I don't mind if you do it by default. Like, you could do it off the mini-map, and this would take literally half a second to set this click up. You could be like, click, 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 and you're done. But the fact that you're doing it, and if you never deviate the Phoenix, it makes you think you might not know what to look for. So right now, the fact that a third exists, you really want to see how fucking greedy has this guy been? How greedy is he? Is there a fully saturated third, or is there no fully saturated third? You definitely want to see the mineral line. Your Phoenix does hit the point and turn now. So you do eventually see the mineral line, and you see nope, drones here. So that's good. Now, the second thing you want to see is you want to see in his main base, you're not looking at Mineral Line in his main base because it should be fully saturated. It's by default going to be saturated. There's no reason why it shouldn't be because it was already saturated last time you were there. And if this guy's got 3 bases now and he's got like fucking 5 drones on the Mineral Line, you'd be like, even if I scout incorrectly here, I'm still going to win the game because this build sucks. So expect there to be a fully saturated Mineral Line. It's standards. It's not, we're not looking at the Mineral Line in the main base. All we're looking at in the main base is we're looking at gas, tech, and any buildings in the area that matter. So the way you moved behind the Mineral Line made sense. You actually moved your Phoenix. You kind of stopped for a second, which is okay. And also, this is a huge sign too. What do you see building? You see drones. This is a nice catch. You can't always guarantee you'll catch this, but you just fucking caught a massive drone wave. That tells me, or that tells you, I can easily take my third and not give a shit now. I don't need to be that worried about anything because this guy's being macro oriented. He's also teching. He's not sitting on hatchery tech making mass roaches and ravagers and lings. He's teching with drones. I have time to take a third and I'm totally fine. These are 2 huge scouts. Going further into his base, you see no gas. What does that mean? Also, look at this gas. It's mining like shit. It has 1 drone on it. This gas has fucking 1 drone on it. No gas and 1 drone on gas and a layer. What does that tell us? Mineral focus with a slight tech focus. So that means that this guy is probably going to tech to a layer, but he's not going to explode right away on a layer. He just wants to get a layer to probably do something like get a tech structure started and then explode gas. Or he wants to like maybe start roach speed. Maybe there's a roach warren somewhere and he wants to start roach speed and then he'll explode gas. But all it means is that he's going to set up more economy to prepare for layer. He's not going to all in you right when he hits layer and be like, all right, let's save my larva and make 20 hydras all at once. Like, he's not going to attack you super fast. So again, no gas focus re-incentivizes you to take a third base because he's doing a mineral focused build. And the only thing he can attack you with a mineral focused build with very light gas is Zerglings. You might argue the fact that maybe you might be able to make a Nidus worm, but not really. This 1 fucking drone on gas, guys, is like no gas at all. He'd have to put some more drones on gas to be able to afford a Nidus. If this was fully saturated, I'd say maybe then a Nidus could exist once the layer is done. But all this is like, this dude's, if he does attack you, it's going to be fucking Zerglings. So you have gateway units. You have ideally robo units, which I'm not going to lie, they're super delayed. You've massively delayed your own units, unfortunately. But you should have gateway robo units. And they should be more than enough to deal with Zerglings. So all we're looking for, again, is tech, gas, and other structures in the vicinity. And what do we see here? An Evo chamber. This tells us that this dude is going for a ground-centric, upgraded path of unit. Because there's only 2 reasons why you built an Evo chamber. Number 1... Or actually, just kidding. There's only 1 reason why you built an Evo chamber. I was about to give you the second reason, which doesn't exist anymore. They stopped doing this in Legacy of the Void. I was about to say it's because he might want to make a spore crawler because maybe he's paranoid about you possibly going Stargate. But you don't even need Evo chambers for spores anymore. You just build spores off the spawning pool. So it's just for upgrades on ground. So here's another thing about this guy's build. The fact that he's going for a layer, the fact that he's mining no gas at all off of the main base, and the fact that he has an Evo chamber makes me go, how the fuck can he afford upgraded ground units? I don't know. Like, how are you going to afford that? You can't. Like, it doesn't make... The build is now inefficient again. Like, this Evo chamber is horribly timed. It doesn't make any sense with his build. So, but what it shows you, though, is light gas with Evo chamber tells you this build's probably going to be something that is going to either be Ling Bane or Roach Hydra Roach Ravager. It's going to be ground focused, probably. That's what it probably means. It's giving you the sign of what that is. Here's another sign right here. You don't always see these, but this is a sign. The fact that he's making a creep timber incentivizes a macro game. You don't ever fucking make creep timbers if you all in somebody. Just speaking from a Zerg's perspective, if I'm going to try to kill you in 5 minutes of the game, why the fuck am I going to spread my creep and waste larva? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to inject my hatcheries repeatedly because I don't care about having creep because I want to kill you right now. I want as much larva as I can have to kill you as fast as possible with my larva. So I'm going to inject my hatcheries. So this is another sign of macro right there. That means, once again, macro, mineral-based build, a third base. He's setting up another build, or another base for his build. And all these signs point to you can take a third base. I'm glad you have a probe here already, but, you know, I'm just, this is why it makes sense, right? I want you to understand that that's why it makes sense for you to take a third. And to know that that is okay to do that if you really want to understand the game. Now, what do we see at the natural? Well, we want to see at the natural, again, would be now we want to see the mineral line, just like the third. We'd want to see the mineral line at the natural, and we also want to see the gas at the natural. And what do we see? We see no gas, and we see the mineral line is fully saturated. So, but the only problem with this, though, why I said your scouting was okay and not great, is you didn't even look at this. You just built your Nexus instead. So, if this third base had 0 drones on it, I'd be like, bro, this guy might have fucking like 40 lings on the map right now. And if you just went blind fucking Nexus, just because, I mean, you could always cancel it, but I want you to know that if there was no drones here, you would probably want to be a little bit more safe about how you're doing things, a little more cautious. I mean, again, you can always try to throw it down because you can always cancel it, and it's not that bad. But yeah, seeing this is finally the last piece of the puzzle here, which again, it tells you, yeah, for sure. Not only do we see a drone wave, but we see a lot of drones here. And if we compare this mineral line to our mineral line, he actually has more drones than we have probes. So he's definitely investing into macro now, for sure. And I'll say this too, because I don't want people to forget what I talked about like 10 minutes ago or 20 minutes ago. There is no reason why he should have a lot more drones right now than your probes. There's no reason why. Like you had the tools at your disposal if you use them properly to have possibly more probes than he has drones at this point, or at least equal number. And the only reason why you're being out droned right now is because you just don't build probes. Like you didn't build probes during your 2-gate opener when you're defending a 12 pool, and you have 2 Nexus right now. They're also still not building probes. And I don't know why. I think you did it because you were scouting his base again. So I'm gonna go back to your scout, and now I'm gonna watch your camera again. And I'm going to watch your Nexus. I'm going to see if you stop building probes. Like how long it goes for. Again, this is stuff that fucks you really hard. So you get into his base. You scout, you scout, you scout. Your Nexus is not building probes now. At 4 minutes and like 39 seconds, you're not building probes. And then you start building a third. And you start building a pylon. 4:39, you haven't made a probe. And you start building a probe again at 4:58 on both your Nexus. So again, that was another 19 seconds of no probing again right there. You got to be really careful about wasting time. And again, I feel like you wasted time. You waste time every time you interact with your opponent. You waste time. And this is the biggest problem of Platinum players and everyone below Platinum is again, it's multitasking. It's a huge problem to overcome. It's a hard thing to like get used to. And it's because you don't know what to do. So you think about it way too hard and you hesitate and you think about everything, all the possibilities. And all you got to know, you break the game down as simple as this. It doesn't have to be, is he going mutas? Is he going lurkers? Is he going hydras? Is he going for mass ravagers? Is he going for blah, 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 blah? Who fucking cares what he's going for? All that you have to know is he going for economy or no? Realistically. Is this dude making things that lead to a mineral-only drones? Or is he doing things that lead to gas-heavy units? And you can mostly be fine if you read the game at a base level like that. You can build on it later as you go. But that scout could have been much faster, again, with your time. And while you're scouting, like for instance, you go like this. Scout the third. Go, no drones, cool. Let's go to the main. While my Phoenix goes from here to here, I hit my Nexus hotkey and make probe. Then I just check this. Gas, mineral. Okay. Nothing going on here that I need to worry about. It's all drones. Focused. So let's now move my Phoenix this way. And as my Phoenix goes from like here to here, hit my Nexus. Make sure we're making probes. And also, you need to have your warp gate, your gateways somehow selected in some way. Because your gateways have a serious problem as well. You opened up double gate, and by 5 minutes you have 5 units. This is very slow gateway usage as well. Now I'm not telling you have to be making double gateway units the entire time, because you definitely want to do a mineral focus first, but you definitely shouldn't have almost 1,000 minerals in the bank because you just spent 600 minerals on these buildings right here, and you still have 600 minerals in the bank. So, like, you definitely could have made more gateway units. Your robo is also could have been made a lot faster, and your robo's not even selected either. It's not even hotkeyed yet. So you definitely want to make sure your production is hotkeyed so you can actually control it properly. Because again, you can build while you're not even looking at your base, at least before warp gate. You need to make sure you're building shit. You're just not building shit, which is your biggest problem. This is where this is the exact same thing I had to talk. I just did another lesson earlier, right before this, and you're both are having the exact same problems. You're both in platinum. You're both not macroing enough. And like right now, for instance, you have a lot of money, so you built another gateway, but you haven't been building out of these gateways forever. And now you're building more gateways, and like these gateways have not built a single. They have not built a single unit. You actually have 6 units, by the way. This one was up here. You have not built out of these. Like, let's just go back now, really quickly. Just go back. We'll talk about one more, like this thing again, really fast. Just watch gateway uptime, okay? Watch gateway uptime. So your gateway's doing a great job so far. You've made a few units. This gateway's chilling for a little bit, but I'm okay with this gateway chilling at first. The reason why I'm okay with this gateway chilling right now is because you're not breaking, you're feeling fine still, and you really want to get that nexus down. But as soon as you get that nexus down, and as soon as you get your probes going again, you're more than welcome to, and also you get your robo started, you're more than welcome to spend excess money on gateway units. But look at your gateways again. One gateway's building something. Your money's getting really high again. And now your gateways are chilling. Gateways are chilling. You already have 2 of your 6 units by this point in the game. Not like 8 minutes or whatever, but like 3 minutes. This gateway's been chilling the entire time. You have not even started warp gate yet. And you know what this actually comes down to as well? A lot of these problems you're having as well in the very early game could potentially also be things like, well, Vibe, I didn't have enough gas, dude, to do it. Well, that also is why I said if you get told full by Lings and you need to explode your production faster, make your probes faster. Don't just stop making probes. If you had made those probes which mine those gas and mined all your resources faster, you would have been able to afford all this shit way more smoothly. This is actually a big reason why you don't have any units. So you made units a couple times here. Like once it started, you did a couple rounds on your main gateway, and then this one did 1 unit. But now watch. At like 4 minutes, this one stopped, and at like 4:07, this one stopped. How long do you wait now to make another unit? Okay, you make 1 more unit at like 4:10 on the south gateway, and then it stops. And now what do you do here? This one gateway's been idle for like over a minute, and this one's been idle for like now almost a minute as well.
Research completed.
And then as soon as warp gets done, you do warp in right away. But it's just so much time that's just being missed. There's so much time being missed in so many ways. And your warp gate was late as fuck as well. Like, if we looked at how late your warp gate was, your warp gate, I think, was like 2 minutes late. Or like 1.5 minutes late. From when the core finishes at 2:09. And you start warp gate at... You start warp gate at 3:47. From 2:09 to 3:47. That's legit like 90 seconds roughly. So that's massive. That fucks you so bad. And it's because you're dealing with shit while you're getting attacked, but these are the priorities of why you're getting fucked here. Your build is pacing so slow. Also, you gotta be really careful about how you position your army. I would say, honestly, like, if you're gonna put your army exposed like this, for the love of God, put a battery really quickly in the area. Once you make a pylon near your nexus. But this is really risky, putting your army this far exposed. This is super risky. Because not only is your top base exposed, I think that's a gap in your wall too there. So Lings could literally run in and hit your third. I don't, by the way, I'm not saying I want you to full wall. I would actually, what I would rather you do is I would rather you wall the side of your nexus. And I would rather you leave your army like right there. And then build your fourth base right there. And then once your fourth base is set up, it's good to go. But if your fourth base gets all in, you always could cancel it if need be. The only thing that makes me feel okay here for you is if you actually, if you know how to read a Zerg when you're scouting him and you go, yeah, he's doing a mineral focus. This seems less scary then. This is why reading a Zerg, if they're going to be aggressive or not, is important. Because if let's just say hypothetically, this Zerg player, let's say you don't know how to read Zerg very well, and let's say you didn't know how to read the signs, and the Zerg player was going to be aggressive. If you fucking stand there like that, you lose the game. Speedlings suddenly flood over here and just surround your army before you get up the ramp, and then like you just die. Roaches or Hydras or Ravagers start killing you with Lings on top of you, and you don't have enough units because you didn't maximize everything, and half your army is there, and half of it's over here. This is so fucking sketchy. And there's no battery. I don't like this. I don't like that you're doing this. I hate that you wall things off. The reason why I don't like this is because you have the idea of walling your base off, and if a Zerg player shows up with range units, they just kill your gateways for free every time. Because how are you, like, let's say a Zerg player has like Roach Ravager here. How the fuck do you defend these gateways? Do you walk through the little doorway one unit at a time and try to fight them? Because if you do that, he could corrosive value as you do that. Or do you just let the gateways die and then hold the line when the gateways are dead? You don't want to lose the gates, ideally. You want your gateways to stay alive because gateways being alive means you can produce more units, right? So if your gateways were like right here against the side of the nexus, it still protects you from Ling run-bys because Lings have to go through your army, which should be located here, instead of directly into your economy. If you put gateways like right there, on not fully connecting a wall, but like, let's say you put gateways like there and like one more gate like right there, and you lock off the south side of the minerals with gates. Now Zergs have to run through the center of the area to get on your economy. So what if half of your, like, what if you have this set up this way, where you have an army position like half your army is like right here and half your army is like right here, and you could easily regroup your army no matter what location he goes to, and you could guard your probes before probes get killed by run-bys. Like, it's much better than just fucking walling off. Walling off is legit just saying, hey Zerg, if you make range units, you can just kill my wall, and then I'll fight you. And that just throws away your production. Because again, you don't have mass gates in your main. If your walls die, you have legit 2, now 5 gates. See, like, this is not bad. The only thing I don't like about this is you're building it so fucking far away from the Nexus. This is, because here's what you've done to yourself. Okay, this is why I say this makes sense. Okay, listen. If your pylon was like on the side of this gas, and your gateways literally went in a straight line, and then down to the Nexus. You know what that does? If you get attacked here, you still have a large concave you can work with from the Zerg. If the Zerg has this concave, and you have this concave, because your gateways are in a line north of that. But now the way you've built this, Zerg has a concave on the ramp, and the only concave you have to fight the ramp is right there. That's about all you can work with in a concave. Otherwise, you're walking units like one at a time through the doorway into Zerg, and you don't want to ever do that. If the Zerg attacks you from this location. So you have fucked yourself with how you can set up a concave. You literally can fight like that against a Zerg who would be on the ramp, like here. A much bigger concave for Zerg. And he would also be killing your production at the same time, because he'd be killing your gates, as well as killing whatever like 2 units you have right there standing in your little concave. So this wall is way too far forward. Now you're scouting again, and what do you see this time? You see a bunch of, like, so again, all you should be looking for this time is, now with the later scout, you should be looking for more expansions beyond 3 base. So how did you scout? Where's your scout? Let me see it. So how did your scout go? You go directly into his base again. And you actually got a scout off on his tech, which is nice. But I would say make sure as well whenever you scout like this, not only do you want to scout his tech, but I'm glad that you did it, first of all. I'm giving you props, okay? I don't want to only say negative shit. Good job by scouting, but you want to make sure you actually also scout like bases. Like you barely caught the edge of a gas there with your observer. So you see a base there, but you have no idea if he has a base there, which he probably does because there's creep there. You did see that base, so you know there's no base there, but you want to know how many bases is the Zerg on, because that really tells you, again, how greedy or aggressive is the Zerg going to be. If Protoss is on 5 base and Zerg's on 3 bases, it's not time for Protoss to attack. It's time for Zerg to attack, because what the hell is Zerg doing falling so far behind? If Zerg's on 8 bases and Protoss is on 4 bases, it's time for Protoss to attack. If both players are on the same amount of bases, it's probably time for both of you to pay attention to, like, you know, where the other person is, because either one of you could attack. So base count tells you a lot about how to read tempo of a game, and if you don't ever scout bases, that's kind of scary. Okay, so you saw Spire, so what are you doing as reaction? Stargate, 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 Stargate. Okay, this is a bit excessive. 5 Stargates is a lot. I don't think you need 5 Stargates. I would say 3 Stargates would be good here. These extra 2 over here are a bit excessive. And the reason why is because I think this is when you actually said, Vibe, I'm going Sky Toss. This is not the time to go Sky Toss. This is because what is Sky Toss? Sky Toss is carriers and things like that. It's like the death ball of Protoss. Obviously, Sky Toss means it's air units that are Protoss, but generally speaking, Sky Toss means death ball, which is carrier, and maybe some Void Rays in there. This is the time for you to make Phoenix, and I would never fucking classify Phoenix as Sky Toss. Like realistically, like full-fledged Sky Toss. It is still an air unit for Protoss, but it's like a harass unit. It's a mobility unit. It's not a death ball unit. So in my opinion, I would say 3 Stargates with Chrono Boost are more than enough to deal with this situation. And what should you do as well to pair with that? Probably put like a battery in every one of your mineral lines. That's also what I would say. Okay, now, here's the thing. Now he's going Corruptors. So he actually went Spire into Corruptor. So now is not the time to go Stargates at all. The fact that you're making Void Rays against the Spire is wrong. And the fact that, like, now that you... This is compositionally, right? Void Rays against the Spire is incorrect. You don't want to do that. You only want to do that if you can open the game up with a Void Ray and you can kill drones, which slows the Zerg down. But if you go, oh, Zerg's really rich, and now he's going Corruptors, now I'm going to go Void Rays. Or Mutas, and now I'm going to go Void Rays. That's not a good idea for you. What you'd want to do now, this is what I would say instead. What would happen to the Zerg if you didn't waste all this money on 5 Stargates and Void Rays, and instead you made 3 Stargates, and you were starting Phoenix, and the second you realized, oh, it's Corruptors, not Mutas, cancel the Phoenix, don't put as little effort or as little economy into this as you can, and just go straight up for a fucking Stalker, Archon, Charge Lot, Immortal attack straight up right now. Just turn this into like Charge Lot, Archon, Immortal, and go attack his ass. What the hell is he going to do with a bunch of Corruptors if you have no air units? Like, he would die. Like, let's literally look at his base right now. What does he have? He's got drones. He's got drones and a hive on the way. He's got drones and a few spines. That will do nothing to stopping your army, your ground army, like Immortals and shit like that. He's got more spines starting. This would also do nothing to stop your main army. 5 spines trying to hold off a maxed out Protoss army. He'd probably kill like a Stalker, and then all 5 spines are dead. Like, they're going to die so fast. And he's got drones, and then he's got this army right here. He's got Hydras and Zerglings. So he does have some units. But again, if you have a 100% ground army that can fight his ground army, and he has a bunch of Corruptors that do nothing, that's a great situation for you to be in. This would be a perfect... Like, if I saw that, I'd be like, time to go kill him. Fucking Corruptors. But again, I know this is Platinum, and you're probably playing the game with a sense of wanting to max out. But remember this, guys, in Beta GM, in the 2021 version of Beta GM, just so you guys know, I'm going to tell you to max out at probably 9 minutes and 30 seconds. We're at 11 minutes and 30 seconds. 2 full minutes after that. And Protoss is at 170 supply. So your macro is fucked up right now. It's definitely missing some beats here and there. Quite a bit. Like we've talked about all games so far. Like your supply is very low for the game time of what it is right now. And also for the fact that you've taken barely any damage at all. Like you took damage in the very beginning. You lost a Zealot. You lost your Probe Scout. And you lost fucking something else. Like very cheap. Like this is not much. Has died here. Is 930 a max out for platinum? That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I'm doing 30 seconds off every time, and I started at 11 minutes. So 11 bronze, 1030 silver. Sorry, 11. Yeah, that's right. 11 bronze, 1030 silver, 10 gold, 930 plat. Because again, the whole point is, guys, the whole point of everything is platinum players always overcomplicate everything. If your macro was just better, you would win so much more of your games. And now you're having Void Rays off of 5 Stargates fly into Hydras and Corruptors, and they just got completely shit on. And this is so many batteries right here that don't need to be there. That's excessive. Like 1 battery is a call it a day. Battery overcharge, good. Just to throw it out there and say this, there's only 2 times you should ever make more than 1 battery per base. One of those 2 times is when you don't plan on defending that base with units. Like, for instance, if you made this expansion have cannon battery. Making more than 1 battery is completely acceptable if that's what you're going to do. Okay? The second time it makes sense to make multiple batteries is if you're in the middle of an endurance fight. And what I mean by that is you're somehow fighting an army, like siege tanks or something, and you both are like slowly trying to push each other back. It's like a tug of war. You're both like, get out of here. Get out of my base. Get out. Leave my base. That's the only time. And like that fight is like, it's not ending. And you're like, okay, I probably should make another battery because like, Jesus Christ, this guy is just like sieging me essentially. And those are the only 2 times it ever makes sense to make multiple batteries. Because if you just throw down batteries like this, just willy-nilly all the time, all you do is slow down your fucking army size. Because this is such a waste. And how many gateways do you have right now? Right now you have 13 gates. In production you have 6 more. So you're about to be on 19 gates and you're going 5 Stargate Sky Toss. Don't make gateways anymore like this. Like stop. So stop making gateways as well. If your plan is to literally go for a tech switch like this, these should be cannons around this base, not fucking gateways. This would make sense to make this many gateways if you had no Stargates with carriers popping already. But the fact that you made Stargates first and then made more gateways after, I feel like all you're doing is you're saying, hey Zerg, hit my gateways before you hit my probes. But if a Zerg player just walks his lings into your probe line, you're going to lose probes before your army can defend it anyways, because it's not even, like, it's not going to do anything. It doesn't defend anything. And now you're fighting on a move. You're fighting Corruptor, Broodlord, Hydra with Carrier. This is another mistake people make all the time. People tend to attack way before they can... people tend to attack way before they can handle it. And what I mean by that is your army is in the middle of trying to go into a deathball. You're trying to go to 5 Stargate carriers. How many carriers do you currently have? You have 5. So you have another one there, 3 here, and you have 1 more like up here coming down. You're starting to go carriers. Carriers are a unit that gain power exponentially, but they're fucking terrible by themselves. You also, what are your upgrades for your carriers right now? Where's your core? You have only level 1 weapons on carriers. That's it. You have just level 1 weapon carriers, and you only have a couple of them. And you have level 1 shields as well. So 1 shield, 1 weapon carriers. But you're attacking with carriers into a Zerg player aggressively. When there's, why are you doing it? There's no reason to. He's not killing your bases. You're not being forced into an all-in right now. You're actually able somehow to still have sustained 5 base economy here. You still have 5 active bases. You have 80 probes mining you most of your minerals. You still have some inactive probes here that are not great, but you have probes here that are inactive that are not great. But mostly, like, you can transfer probes here. You can take another base. You can take these gases. You can expand up here or something. But, like, nothing is forcing you to take this fight. Nothing is forcing you to take this fight. But what's happening now is when, again, carriers are crap when you have a low amount of them. They start getting good when you have, like, 12 of them. Or, like, 13. Like, more than double digits. More than 10. Carriers on, like, 3, 4, 5. They suck ass. 1. The only way they win at fights like that is if there's nothing that can shoot back at them. If it's like 1 queen and that's it, then yeah, carriers are going to be great when you only have like 2 of them. But if you have a fucking Zerg who has shown you corruptors earlier and hydras as well, it is not the time to attack him with 4 carriers or 3 carriers and a 4th one behind it. Because watch how fast your interceptors die in this fight. They just insta-die. So look at your carriers, right? These are all your 3 carriers fully stocked, locked, and loaded. They got full interceptor capacity, and watch how fast they deplete on normal game speed. This is a real game speed. And interceptors just all dying really fast. And how come that's happening? Now your carriers are literally paperweights. They don't do any damage. They do fucking 0 damage. And as soon as these 3 interceptors pop out, they're going to do 1/8 of their damage. And those interceptors are going to die just as fast as the last one did. It's because carriers are a unit that either overwhelms your opponent or you get overwhelmed really fast. There's like a tipping point that goes one way or the other. It's not just like, oh, I'll have a couple of them and we'll be good. If you have a couple of them, you're going to get overwhelmed and all your interceptors are going to die because you don't have enough of them to overwhelm. So again, that's why I say carriers get good around like 12 or so, because what happens when you have like 12 carriers? You have like 100 interceptors, roughly. You have close to 100. It's 12 times 8. So what's going to happen now is you're depleting your carrier, and now they're just crap here. They're doing nothing, and you're probably gonna keep the army in the fight, and they're gonna die. They're going to just die. And now all this does to you is it resets your death ball. You don't have to reset from 1 carrier again. And you just threw away not only your ground army, which gives the Zerg momentum to now push you, because he feels confident because he just killed you, but you also, so we're not even going to include the cost of the ground army that just died, but 5 carriers are 350 and 250 resources per, which is 600 resources in total, so you just lost 3,000 resources in throwing away 5 carriers, not to mention also the interceptor cost. So really more like probably like 3,400 or 3,500 resources. Because you also have to fill the carrier with interceptor, which costs money each time. It's 15 minerals per interceptor. That's a fuckload of money you just threw away. And you're just letting them die. Again, this is... Carriers need to be deathballed out. They suck ass if you engage with them slowly. So if your plan is to go, I'm going to go for a carrier transition, what your goal should be is how can I keep the Zerg defensive while slowly turning my supply from a hybrid army to max air only. And the way you could do that would be scout the map, look for bases, and use your army to be like, okay, I'll send my army over here. Meanwhile, let's send 10 zealots down here or something like that. I'll send my army down here. I'll send 10 zealots over here. Make the Zerg go back and forth defending his base. Kill his bases. Keep him defensive. Slowly, you lose your units slowly, so that you can lose supply from 200 and remax carrier. And then suddenly you have 15 carriers and like 4 Archons and like 6 Templars. Or just carrier Archon. Like, let's say you have 18 carriers and 5 Archons. And now you push out with that, and then Zerg is like, Jesus, I'm getting overwhelmed. It's the tipping point for Protoss now, who's just too much all at once. And then Zerg just fucking just dies. That's just what it would happen. If the Zerg is not going to micro that very well, Zerg would totally die. So you threw away your army in a hybrid weak point of time. And this is happening because you threw your army away. Zerg would not be here in your base right now if you did not throw everything away right there. If the Zerg decided to attack you, when you had pylon warp in defensive defender's advantage, you had shield battery overcharge defender's advantage, You had fast rally point next wave of carrier defender's advantage. You didn't engage with 3 and then 1 and then 1 carrier. You instead would have engaged with maybe like 8 at once defender's advantage. All these defender's advantages, if the Zerg pushes you off creep, which is not good for Zerg either, you could potentially win the fight a lot more likely while you're switching your tech. Much better to fight that way than to just throw your army away at his base before you're ready to take a fight. That was like the that fight it just showed that it's just random, right? You're just like, I'm gonna attack now. Fuck it. Let's see what happens. But it was like the worst. It was the anti-timing. It was the worst time you could ever have attacked because you're in the middle of trying to go carrier, and you didn't have any carrier, and you pushed with no carrier really. And then what are you doing? You're remaking carrier anyways, and now you're gonna fight the Zerg once again with no carrier because you're not giving yourself time to make carrier. Like, thank God these DTs are killing all the Hydra, so that's saving your ass right now because this Zerg just doesn't have detection. But if you push again with carrier, you're gonna lose these carrier. Like, I would say kill the Broodlord and then fucking stop. Go home. And if you don't capitalize on killing the Broodlord fast because you go over here first and then turn to the left, don't even go period. It's because you're getting distracted by the Lurker, which is fine. Like, you could still win this game. You could still win this game. Fucking stay defensive right now. If you push right now, you're throwing the game again right now. Because 5 carrier is the same problem you just ran into. It's not going to overwhelm the Zerg. And now watch the interceptors. Here we go again. Watch the interceptors. Watch the interceptors right now. So what should be happening is you should sit there and make carriers and make Archons out of these DTs. And just fucking sit there and make probes. So you fix your economy and you just sit there making carriers, chrono boosting your upgrades to make these carriers better. And chrono boost your carriers, chrono boost your probes. Just fucking sit there. Just sit there. He can't win. Against the Zerg 7 base, he's fucked. Okay, Rosie Posey, log in. You play Zerg, I'll play Protoss. We'll resume the replay from this position, and I'll kill you with it. You can totally fucking win the game still as Protoss at this position. The Protoss still has enough economy to win the game here. Am I saying Protoss is ahead? Definitely not. Protoss is definitely not ahead. The suit is black knot. The Protoss is not ahead here, okay? I'm not saying the fucking Protoss is in a good spot. But this game is still winnable if you just fucking build carriers and sit back with Archons. Look at the Zerg's upgrades. 0-0 air. Look at his ground upgrades. 2-3, pretty good. But 0-0 air. And once you get to a certain point of carrier, you just run the Zerg over. You legit run the Zerg fucking over so hard. But again, watch the interceptors, guys. Watch the interceptors. We got 5 carriers with full interceptors. One of them already died. 1 interceptor has already been killed here. And now, how many more are going to die? Really fast. Interceptors. Dead, 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 dead. This carrier's already depleted. Zerg is now running away because DTs are there and the Zerg still isn't using detection. Yeah, the DTs are winning the game for you, not the carriers yet. Carriers aren't at a point where they can win yet. I don't know why the Zerg doesn't like Overseers. There we go. And look at all these carriers. Depleted, 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 depleted. All of them are depleted. And now, again, these carriers are literally just like fucking civilian blimps being like, hi, we're not here to attack anything. We're just big ships flying around, chilling. Rosie said they're here waiting on you. All right, fucking log in. Go. Send me a message right now. I'll play you. You want to fucking go? You want to be a naysayer? If you are someone who's at the level of these players or possibly even below these level of these players, high chance I win. Obviously, if you're fucking Masters League or something and you're in this position, you're probably going to kill me. But this position was there definitely was still a chance. There's still economy to be mined. If you're still mining off of like 3 active bases, guys, you still have a fucking chance. You still have a chance. It's because it's about cost efficiency. You can be on less bases. It is a real thing inside StarCraft 2. Guys, listen. You can be a player who's using an extremely cost-efficient army on half the income economy. So you're using a really cost-efficient army with half the income of your opponent, and you can win the game because you just take massively good trade after massively good trade after massively good trade. It's very doable. It happens all the fucking time. It's not something that's like, I'm going to prove some new theory here. It's standard in StarCraft 2. It happens all the time. But if you do this shit where you just fucking push before you're at that stage where you have a cost-efficient army, because right now this is not cost-efficient. Carriers suck ass when they're at low number. Well, you're going to throw them away then, and they're just going to die. And that's what's going to happen. And, you know, that is what it is. Again, and also, Rosie Pussy, I have nothing against you, man. You're totally fine. Don't worry about it. Guys, shut the fuck up. Don't get on him if he doesn't want to play me either. I don't care. It's totally fine. I'm just trying to prove a point. I'm trying to prove a point, and I'm always willing to back up my fucking what I say with an actual visual if it comes to that. I'm not just making shit up over here. Cost efficiency is a thing inside the game. It's a fucking thing in the game. So, because people do this shit all the time. They always doubt. They're like, nope, nuh-uh. Nope, it's impossible. Well, it's only impossible for someone that literally gets in this position and goes like this. I'll just go ahead and quit the game now. Yeah, it's impossible if that's your mindset. But if you understand how to abuse the game and play from behind, you can still win the game from here. This is just a game where it's like trying to win the game 2 to 3 carriers at a time, and it'll never work. So that's why you died. Like, how many carriers overall died this game? I would say like 14 carriers died throughout the making of this game. Imagine if those 14 carriers ever grouped up at any point in this game. Would have been a much different outcome. Would have been a lot more effective for Protoss. But no, they died 3 at a time, 2 at a time, 4 at a time, 3 at a time, 1 at a time, 1 at a time, 3 at a time. They died in isolated numbers all over the place. It's like saying Zerg Hydras are going to fucking, you know, walk over 4 Hydras here, go there. 3 Hydras go here, go there. 7 Hydras go here and die. 5 Hydras go there and die. Oh, yeah, Hydras are going to suck ass if you lose them like 1 fucking 5th at a time of what you actually are trying to work with. But suddenly, if you group up like 30 Hydras at once, way more effective than sending in waves of 5 or whatever. So, anyways, Dr. Disaster, thank you very much for doing a lesson. I appreciate you, man. I know, guys, I know I get really intense when I do these. It's okay. I'm not mad. It's totally fine. I'm just disappointed. No, you're fine. Dr. Disaster, you're fine. There's a lot of things we talked about that are going to help you throughout this game. So, hopefully, this helps you out. And hopefully I answered a lot of your questions. But again, you lost this game 100% because your build was very awkward. Your macro needs some definite improvement still. And if you have the idea to go deathball, it needs to be fully committed deathball. And on top of that, it needs to be fucking, what's it called? Like you need to not move out with it when it's still in the hybrid stage before it's full power. It's kind of like saying this. It's like imagine that you're going to build like a killing machine robot, okay? And then you have these schematics to install like these gun arms with like blade arms and all these fucking like attacking tools that are going to make it deadly. And then you go, you know what? Send it. And they're like, but we just have legs on it that are only used for moving. It can't even kick. It just walks forward. Send it, dude. Get it out there. And it's like, well, it's no longer intimidating at all. It might roll over some fucking ants. Or like step on a bug. But it doesn't actually have its combat capability right now. That's what carriers are when you have too little of them. They're fucking horrible. So I hope that makes sense. But thanks for doing it, Dr. Disaster. And guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video, whatever it may be. Good luck. Have fun. And see you next time. Peace, guys. See ya.